got me feeling high, I don't need weed. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the if I could run off with you, baby girl, you know I would. Give you everything you need, everything you should. Love the way your hair move, blowing in the breeze. Love the way your body move when you dance on me. Essence is a presence, girl, I love your company. Love the way you break it down when we roll trees. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't need weed. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't need weed. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the I won't play no games, baby, I ain't tryna stress ya. Don't just want your body, baby, not just tryna sex ya. I won't make it hard, baby, I ain't about to test ya. I'm just tryna free your mind, I'm just tryna bless ya. We could pour some wine and maybe we could lay up. Or we could get some coffee and maybe we could stay up. All I do is crush a lot, girl, I ain't no player. You know you got my heart, girl, tell me what you saying. Call my phone up, then drop the location. Go be a long night, go be moaning all night. Then we wake up, damn baby girl, you know it's late. Said I leave a 4:45, now it's 10 to 8. And I'm just really proud of this thing we got building. And maybe I could wife you and we could have some children. Throw some Netflix, smoke up some weed. Then let that sex drip, then back to sleep. And I just wanna tell her everything she might need. But in the meantime, it's lights please, lights please. Lights please, lights please. Back shot, then we go another round. Ass up with your head facing the ground. Girl, it's been so long, can I get up in it now? King of the West, now I'm about to rain on the South. Tryna get you wet, tryna get you Pacific Ocean. Tryna get you right, girl, you know my love is potent. Tryna get you right, tryna get you smoking Doja. Tryna get you right, girl, you know my love is kosher. Tried to stay sober, but this liquor taking over. Knock your walls down, you can call me bulldozer. Take off your jeans and take off your blouse. I'm about to show the meaning of the word of mouth. Girl, I cannot be your man, but I can for the night. You ain't gotta take your panties off, slide them to the side. Girl, I'll go to war for you, even go hell and back. Girl, I want the war for you, gold, diamonds, platinum plaques. Will you take a chance? Will you let this love shine? Cause only real shit lasts the test of time, you know. That's the test of time, you know. If I could run off with you, baby girl, you know I would. Give you everything you need, everything you should. Love the way your hair move, blowing in the breeze. Love the way your body move when you dance on me. Essence is a presence, girl, I love your company. Love the way you break it down when we roll trees. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't need weed. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't need weed. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the queens. This is for the girlfriends, this is for the if I could run off with you, baby girl, you know I would. Give you everything you need, everything you should. Love the way your hair move, blowing in the breeze. Love the way your body move when you dance on me. Essence is a presence, girl, I love your company. Love the way you break it down when we roll trees. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't need weed. Girl, you got me feeling high, I don't.
Hello, you guys. Good evening and happy Tuesday.
Hey,
to
hey,
all
hey.
of my queens and my kings out there. It is 7:30 and you are now tuned in with Queen's Table Talk here on the Hub Radio. That was my chair. That was my chair. I swear it was my chair. I am your host, Mo Knows Best, and I'm here with my co-host, my fellow queens, Miss Lovey Leah.
What's up, y'all?
Oh, you're excited today. I'm here for this. I'm here for this, honestly. And Miss Jasmine Renee.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, y'all. Okay, so, y'all, typically we start off every show talking about our week, but I wanted to switch it up today because I haven't seen you guys. So, instead of asking you guys how your week was, I want to ask you guys, what did you guys do this week for growth? What did you do for yourself this week?
Dang.
That was deep, right?
Yeah.
That's very deep.
I was already talking about my weekend and everything.
Yeah.
Well, kind of my weekend did help with, I guess you could say help with my growth in a sense. Sorry, I kind of just jumped right in there. I spent quality time with the bae, much needed quality time.
With the bae, okay.
Yeah, there's some transitions that are gonna happen real soon in our relationship, so it was just much needed quality time with him, and we just kind of talked about a lot of stuff in our future, and just was just sitting with each other, just kind of just chilling, just really chill, and it was really, really nice. It was a really nice weekend. Just spending time with him, yeah. Because my family went out of town, so it was just like me. So I was just kind of like, I guess I'll spend time with you. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, but it was also very sad because my dad did move this past week. So I was really, really sad about that. Just because my dad, it's kind of like the balance in our house. My mom and I are really strong personalities, and my dad's very just like bubbly and like very like, like just chill, you know? So my heart is kind of in two pieces, but you know, I'll see him again.
You will.
Yeah.
You will. What about you, Jasmine?
I don't know. I mean, it's always growth. Being in the classroom with the kids. And it's always a struggle. It's a struggle with me for the black girls. You know, I always talk about black boys, but and they come like easy, but with the black girls, it's always a struggle. So, you know, sometimes having to sit them down and just having conversations. I know one girl, she would just always have an attitude whenever she saw me, and this was like up until maybe like a week and a half ago or something. And then I kicked her out of class, and I told her, like, I'm not gonna send you to the office, or I'm not gonna do anything to you. You just go sit outside of class. I'm like, if you don't sit in my class for today, they're not gonna ask you in a few years, why weren't you in this class on this day? Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, if I'm making you feel that way, then just leave. So she sat there and she kind of like dealt with it and was kind of like, wait, so I'm not gonna get in trouble if I leave? Like, this is weird. And I went out to go talk to her after the lesson, because the periods are like 75 to 80 minutes long. So I went out to go talk to her, and I was just like, yo, like, I don't want to see you fail or anything. I'm like, you're very smart. You have a very loud mouth, and you have a bad mouth, but you are very smart, and you can speak well when you want to. And I was just like, I don't want to see any harm come your way or anything like that. And we talked, and she was a little like apprehensive at first, but then she kind of like came around, and I was just like, you're smart, and why would I want to see another young black girl not be successful? And I think that kind of like hit a nerve with her, and she was just like, oh. So then the rest of the conversation kind of went like well after that, and I was like, you know, we kind of ended the conversation. I'm like, are you good? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you come back to class when you want to. And then as I was walking away, she was just like, thank you, Miss Gates, like, I really appreciate that. And I was like, oh, you're welcome, because she's like, she'll cuss you out just on sight. Like, you walk in and you look away towards her, and it's all types of cussing and all of that, and she'll just go off, and she'll be like just a butthole the whole period. But she really did like gravitate towards me, and now when I see her, it's a totally different shift. But in order to have that conversation, I had to minimize me, and get to a point where it was like, okay, my feelings don't matter in this point. I don't know what she needs, so I'm just gonna go and speak to her. And that's not always easy, because we're combating the same attitude. You are dealing, you know, black girls speaking to black women speaking to black girls. When they have attitudes, it's the same thing that we deal with. So being able to shut mine off to help better hers was like growth. And then now seeing her being very open to me and wanting to have conversations, when at first, like, she would walk into class and be like, oh my God, I gotta see her again. Like, it was that bad. And now seeing her, like, she walks in and she's just like, hey, Miss Gates, like, hey, how are you doing? We had a conversation the other day. He's just very welcoming at this point. So it was just growth, because I don't do that for a lot of people, but for the kids, I definitely will like minimize who I am to bring out their better. So that was like growth for me, and just, you know, seeing that transpire and seeing it happen like in real time, like going back and being like, oh, you know, she's still being affected by that conversation that we had. So that would be like my growing moment of the week, I guess.
Amen.
So what about you?
For me, this weekend, I just took time out for myself. I just chilled. Like, I really didn't do anything. Like, I just feel like I need to, mentally, I need to decompress. And for me, it was so liberating for me, because I'm always on the go and I'm always on the move. My mind is like either at work, or it's on the radio show, or it's on my family, or it's on other things. And I'm just like, I just don't feel like doing anything. I just need to just focus on me. And I did some things for myself. Like, I was just chilling, and I was, you know, working upon me. So I'm starting to get more into the habit where I am
giving myself the time to breathe and giving myself time to decompress, kind of like what I talked about last week with anxiety and whatnot. So being able to, you know, put Monique first. So that's where I'm at with it. But on that note, let's get into some Black girl magic. So first, we have Rashida Frost. So I know you guys know who that is. So she is on Love and Hip Hop. She is a rapper, of course, a rapper first, then a reality TV star. But she was featured in Forbes magazine. So she's an entrepreneur. She has 2 businesses. So she has Poise Cosmetics, and then she also has 2 stores. It's called Pressed. One location is in Atlanta, and the other location is in Houston. So Pressed has turned into a multi-million-dollar business. So she's out here doing big things. Yes. I knew she had a store, but I didn't know that it was generating so much revenue. Yeah. So definitely shout out to her. And then she's also set to launch a digital fitness video program this year. So I didn't even know she was in fitness either. So yeah, so that's really exciting to hear. So in her article, when she sat down with Forbes, she was talking about not being complacent and, of course, overcoming her fear, because there were times where she doubted herself as a rapper and as an entrepreneur. So being able to overcome that fear and to get to where she is today, and how she's still managing and how she's still trying to flourish and whatnot. So shout out to her. And then also we have Leslie McSpadden. So she is the mother of Michael Brown, the 18-year-old Black man that was shot and killed by police in Ferguson back in August 2014. So she was speaking on a panel at Harvard University, and she had announced that she was thinking about running for city council in Ferguson. So I don't know what her official plans are yet, if she's actually going to do it, but I know that she is definitely in talks about doing it. So I would love to see that. I always feel like with Black women and with Black people, we always turn our pain into power. And what would, like, how much of a big statement would that be to turn around and have to supervise the same police department who killed your son? So,
and she just recently too got her high school diploma.
Yeah, so last year she went back to school to go get her high school diploma. She did.
Awesome.
It is awesome. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated upon that. But I'm excited to see where she'll go with this.
Yeah, and the people are excited about her running too. Like they're really pushing for her to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also we have okay, there's 6 women, right? They are all over the age of 100. And when, like, last week we talked about Ida Kneeling, and she's like she's over 100 years old. So I have this thing, like, for women who are over 100. I think this is a blessing for, like, anybody to live to be 100 years old. But it's 6 Black women in the photo. There's 5 of them, but it's 6 of them all together at their nursing center. So it's 6 residents at the Brooklyn McKinney Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. They had a birthday celebration last month to celebrate all of their birthdays. So they were celebrating 600 years of life. Like, that's really amazing. And on top of that, like I said, like I told you guys last week, that when you're over 100, especially like when you're Black, oh my God, I just love that, because I just want to sit down and talk to you because you've lived through so much. Like, I would love to hear about history through your eyes rather than having to read a textbook or go up on the internet. Like, I can just sit here and just talk to you about it. So, it's definitely a beautiful sight to see. But what's so funny about this is the fact that they said the reason why they live so long is because they're not married, and like is that they travel and they have lots of boyfriends and they don't need no stress from no man. That's how they end up living so long. So I'm like, hey, if that's what you do, if you guys like it, by all means, I love it.
Their own, I guess.
Yeah, no.
I want to be 100 coming home, hopefully, to my still living husband. I can't do the whole boyfriends when I'm 90 something trying to be out with my boyfriend. No.
You never
I want
know,
to snuggle up with my husband while I'm 90.
You never know, girl. You probably got Walter and Woodrow. And
that's crazy. But my thing is, like, do they have kids? Like, that's what I want to know. Do you guys have kids?
I'm very curious too.
I'm sure at least one.
Yeah, I'm like, you have to have kids, like, out of wedlock or whatever, but that ain't my cup of tea.
But they probably got married,
or maybe like just got divorced or something.
You know, one of them said that she turned down 5 marriage proposals.
5?
I'm just trying to get to 1. Okay,
5. Gosh dang.
She turned down 5 marriage proposals.
Her little life. Look,
girl, she's out here living her best
She
life.
just wanted to travel and have her some mints. That's all she wanted.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, by all means, you know, do you. If it works for you, that's perfectly fine. And then they said that they like to dance, so they dance, and that's how they stay young, and that's how they stay healthy and refreshed and whatnot. So by all means, if that's what you do, then go ahead. Go ahead with your bad self, okay? All 6 of you. So
All 6 of you.
all 6 of y'all. So you guys, upon that note, we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to come back in 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about Kanye West, y'all. He out here tripping, okay? Him, who else? Bill Cosby. And we're going to talk about Issa Rae and her excerpt from her book. So should black women date Asian men? So we got a mouthful for y'all today, okay? So stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Allow me to give you something to think about. Not everything that comes out of Compton is bad. I mean, we have Dr. Dre, The Game, Kendrick Lamar, Venus and Serena Williams, that little girl with the dream, Maya Aja Brown. P. Diddy couldn't have said it better. This is the fairy tale, man. And fairy tales do come true because we got millions of cats that are coming up with that hustling spirit and drive. They got that mention in it, that drive. Bill Lyons had that drive to overcome all obstacles. Bill Lyons isn't just a clothing line or just a brand. It's a movement. Bill Lyons is Compton. Compton is Bill Lyons. Respect the perspective. Bill Lyons.
We're at the beautiful Grand Palladium in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, man, and we are about to set everything up for what's going down in July 19th through the 23rd. We're about to do the site inspection, show you exactly what y'all gonna see, exactly what y'all paying for, the rooms, the beaches, the clubs, restaurants, all that, man. We're gonna give you a small little tour and show y'all what it look like.
The Hub Radio.
Clipper Darrell, and you're listening to Hub Radio.
The Hub Radio. The Hub. The Hub.
Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Queen's Table Talk here on the Hub Radio. We're going to get into our next segment. Tell me why, y'all. So we're going to get into this whole Kanye West ordeal first. So this man has been tripping since last week. So everybody's saying that it might be some kind of publicity stunts. I don't know. For his new album, I don't know, but Kanye is really off of his rocker. So let me start with what happened last week, and then we're going to work our way up to today because it's some new tea that happened today with TMZ. So last week, he went on this whole tweeting spree talking about how he loved Trump and how he support Trump and whoop, 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 and how he's a free thinker and whatnot, which got everybody all up in arms because they're like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you, supporting Trump? Like, why are you up on this whole movement with him? Like, which just seems kind of odd to me because, like, if y'all know Kanye from that, like, college dropout Kanye, it just kind of seems like, where's this coming from? So of course, like, his wife gets involved in everything, and she's tweeting and supporting him, was like, see, that's why I love him, because he's a free thinker and blah, blah, blah. And then she was saying that people were saying that he had, like, mental issues and whatnot, and she was saying that, he doesn't have any mental issues and that he's perfectly fine and everybody needs to stop, like, with saying that he has mental problems. And it just went downhill from there. So then with him saying that he loved with him saying that he loved Trump, Trump tweeted talking about how he, loved Kanye and that how Kanye is very cool. Next thing you know, you see him in a Make America Great hat. And it's just been like a crazy week. And then today he was on TMZ. And then when he was on TMZ, he was talking about how slavery is a choice. And he was just saying a whole bunch of crazy things. So we have the tweets and then we have the video. We're going to go through all of that and we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, I just want to tell y'all that really I was messed up emotionally last week. After I saw his tweets, people thought I was being dramatic, but I was really like in my feelings, like where I didn't want to be bothered because I was like, I just need to mourn right now. I just need everybody just to leave me alone. And I used to be a really big Kanye West fan, like early on in his career, like when he came to the college dropout and late registration. But I've argued with people about Kanye before because I said that, kind of like after 808s and Heartbreaks, I kind of like was off of him a little bit because I felt like, he wasn't really who he was before. And I felt like he was a little, I feel like he wasn't the same Kanye. And people will argue with me and be like, no, he's just a creative genius. And no, like, he's just, he's just trying to be creative and tap into, like, who he is. And that he's just outside of the box. I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to argue with you no more. So now, here we are, fast forward to 2018, and he out here tripping. So that's just how I feel about it. But my feelings were really, really hurt last week. But we're going to get into that. So let's, actually, better yet, let's get into the video first. So we're going to get into the video from TMZ earlier. So this is the first part.
Black person in the black community, but I'm not just that. I feel like one thing is people try to minimize me to artists, hip hop, black community. Yeah, I'm always going to represent that, but I also represent the world. When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race, that we're the human race.
Do you feel that do you feel that I'm being free and I'm thinking free?
I actually don't think you're thinking anything. I think what you're doing right now is actually the absence of thought. And the reason why I feel like that, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But there is fact and real world, real life consequence behind everything that you just said. And while you are making music and being an artist and living the life that you've earned by being a genius, the rest of us in society have to deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. Frankly, I'm disappointed, I'm appalled, and brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real. Bro, you gotta be responsible, man.
Bro, I'm sorry I hurt you.
You gotta be responsible.
No, I'm sorry I hurt you, bro.
Your voice is too big. You got.
Okay, y'all. So that was Kanye in his whatever that was. So how y'all feel about just Kanye overall and his tweets? From his tweets to his Make America Great hat to this video, how have you guys felt about it?
Go ahead. I'm just still laughing at him saying, "You really not even really. I don't even know what you're saying right now." Like that was.
I don't know.
But anyways, go ahead, Justin.
So there's been 3 different videos that dropped today. It was his conversation with Charlamagne. It was the one that you just aired with TMZ, and then it was the one that he did with T.I. And I watched all of them. I didn't get through all of Charlamagne, but I have a very different opinion. I also was watching a lot of older videos of Kanye. Kanye has changed a lot in terms of even how his voice sounds, the points that he's attacking, the things that he's saying. There was even like a video from 2005 of him talking about how the homophobia in the hip hop culture, and he feels like gay is the opposite of hip hop because of how we make it. It's like if your beat is trash, we're going like, oh, your music is gay, and if it's not, it's like, oh, it's hip hop. And he was saying, and maybe it's changed a little bit, but this was in 2005, and he was just saying that he identified with that because his cousin was gay, and he was like, wow, am I discriminating against my cousin? So that's what caused him to change. I think he has very good intentions, and I think he has always wanted the black people to do well. However, what I do understand is that he does need to decipher through, and in the Charlamagne video, he said he has not been to therapy. I think that's something that he should do, but I can't argue with Kanye's intentions. I don't think he's being malicious. I just think at some point in time in helping black people, you become desperate. Because you're fighting against black people, you're fighting against white people, you're fighting against the system, you're fighting against other races, you're fighting against people in your family that are telling you it's not that serious. And at some point in time, you become extremely desperate. So I gave this example of he's trying to climb a tree, and Kanye is used to success. He's used to getting to the tree. And because he's so desperate, he's now cutting down the tree so he can get to the top. And he's now being a detriment to our community and himself because he's trying so hard to make a difference and make us unified. He's going a negative way about doing so, but in listening to the videos and listening to the song that he dropped with Ye versus the People with T.I. and listening to how sincere he was as a person and thinking that what he is doing is right, I in no way, even prior to these videos, think that he's trying to be malicious. I just think it's a desperate thing. And I'm saying that because sitting in the face of kids every day that are dealing with this, dealing with 14-year-olds who are out here just, sexual intercourse or gangbanging or talking about a whole bunch of stuff, you become very hopeless. You become very and you become desperate. So I go, if I, as a teacher, do things that are out of the norm or against the grain to try and get my kids, does that mean that my intentions are now wrong? And I can understand how it's hard. It's really hard to try and fight for black people all the time. It is. He cut down the tree because he's trying to get to the top and he's not used to not being successful. So he cut down the tree and now he has to deal with his ramifications. And what I do love is that the black men are telling him how wrong he is. I love seeing the dude on TMZ. I love seeing T.I. I love seeing him sit down with Charlamagne. It's people in his community that are sitting down and telling him, like, yo, brother, you are not right. This is not okay. And I appreciate that so much. The song that him and T.I. put out, it was literally them sitting in an office recording their, responses to each other. But I'm not going to put that on him and say, because I do believe that mental health is an issue. And if we are advocating for people to get their help in mental health, we can't necessarily just throw Kanye out the boat. I don't think he wants us to fall. I think he wants something for us, but like I said, fighting for black people, especially in the face of black people, it is not the easiest thing to do. And if your heart is in it, you can easily become that person. You can easily become crazy trying to make black people better or trying to push them when the person that you're trying to push along keeps cutting the rope. They keep cutting the rope, but you keep trying to push them along. So now you like, okay, I'm about to tie this around your neck. And now you done killed the person. You killed them trying to save them. And I think that's what he's doing.
What about you, Lovey Leah?
Well, actually, agree with Jasmine. After listening to that song this morning, it did change and broaden my perspective of what Kanye really is saying. And then also, John Legend tweeted something that says, "I love that great, brilliant artists have the power to imagine a better future, but artists can't be blind to the truth." And I know in one of Kanye's tweets, he did say, like, I don't totally agree with everything Trump is doing. But at the same time, like, who am I to kind of, like, hate this person? Like, I'm all about unifying the people. And I like the video. I haven't seen that video, but I like that the black man was telling him, his response was like, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, if I came at you wrong. I think Kanye's mental state is more so, like, I'm all about the love. Like, I'm all about keeping the peace. But he also can't be, like John Legend said, can't be blind to the social injustices that are going on daily. Because right now, you're saying, I want to make peace with this person, and this person is basically slapping your hand away, saying, like, I'm going to do your people wrong. I might smile in your face, but I'm doing your people wrong by being, a horrible president or whatever case may be. But that song with T.I. saying, like, man, cut all that out. You just sound crazy. I need you to kind of see, like, are you going against your people? You kind of need to choose. And I think that's what a lot of black people are looking at. Like, what side are you on? Either you're for us or you're against us. And Kanye is saying, I'm for everybody. I'm for everybody to kind of just get along and just have a better future and mindset. So I can see where he's coming from. Because at first, before the song, I was just kind of like, what's going on with him? Like, is he just, and then we were talking about him losing his mom a long time ago. And after all that, like, he just kind of went left. But, I mean, I think he just kind of changed his perspective of, let's look more so at the human race and not at just individual races,
I mean, you can acknowledge what's going on. I mean, you can try to unify people, but you can't just disregard the social climate. You can't disregard what's going on in the world. And I can get that he's trying to unite people, but when you have a platform, a major platform like he does, it's almost like you got to be careful and you got to tread lightly. Like, you're over here saying that, you love Trump, and then we all know, like, when people say they love Trump, like, does that mean that you endorse people being racist? Are you overlooking his racist rhetoric? Are you, are you sexist? Are you over here, like, like, it's just like, I feel like it's not even an issue of being Republican or Democrat. It's just the issue of this is the person who you like him. Like, you're endorsing who he is. And who he is, he's not a good person. And now they really don't even care about you. Like, really, just Trump don't even care about Kanye. He just took this and ran to the bank with it, literally. Like, after Kanye had made them tweets and was like, oh, yeah, I love Trump and whatnot. Like, this man over here trying to sell Make America Great hats. He over here trying to raise money because now he's got people talking about him. And now they got people feeling like, okay, like, we have one black person who can come and validate our agenda. So, therefore, all these other black people, y'all are just tripping. And that's the part of it that I don't like. And I feel like we as black people have to show some kind of united front with each other. And it's okay. I mean, like, we all have issues within our race that we need to address, and we have things that we need to talk about, but don't put it out there like that, like, for other white people to go and have a field day with it. Because I feel like in all of that, that's when your message gets lost in translation. Because now you got, and it's almost as if, like, now you done upset us, but yet you're over here trying to, please the white people. They love you. They want to, like, invite you, to come hang out with them and whatnot. But it's like, dude, like, that's not cool. Like, and even going back to who he was, to his College Dropout album, it's like literally everything that you talked about education, you talked about, the system, you talked about family, you talked about so much stuff that gave hope to the black community. And then now for you to take actions that kind of go against that, it's like, have people thinking like, dang, Kanye, like, what's really good with you? Like, what's going on?
But we also got to look at what were people listening to him? Were people actually making a difference? And I think that's the thing where it's like, yeah, he did all of that, but then you still see BS where things weren't being changed. And like I said, he's not used to not being successful. So when it did happen, now we see the ramifications of his brain not working. He said in the Charlemagne video, he talked about how St. Pablo didn't do as well. He talked about how he went to a concert and he was 45 minutes late and they booed him. And he was just like, to him, he said that felt as if they were calling him nigger. Because he was like, y'all mess with me so much, but when I mess up, you're basically like, okay, look at this boy, like he's messing up. And it goes to, yeah, like Kanye, you can't rock with their movements because at any point in time, a white person is going to let you know who you are and what place you stand and that you are black at the end of the day. But we have to understand, and I really do believe that Kanye wants the best for black people, but black people will sit, and we know this. We'll go to barbecues or family gatherings, and we'll sit up there, we'll be in a dashiki. Oh, well, you got black power, this, you this, and it's like, no. And people challenge me on it too. Why are you so passionate? Because I'm sitting in front of 14-year-old girls who have lost their mind, who are sitting out here and cannot keep their legs closed. I'm sitting in front of 13-year-old boys who have been shot at, who have rags in their pockets and think that's the only way of life. So for me, it's a very passionate thing. So I can see if I'm sitting in the face of these kids 10 months out of a year and they're not grasping what I'm saying, I could go crazy. And I could sit there and do something out of the norm because I want the best for them. And I think that's what Kanye is doing, where I think we as a community, like T.I. and Charlemagne and the dude off of TMZ, we need to, not we, but those that are around him need to speak to him. It's not about we're pushing you out, you go over there, you do this. It's just he is lost. To me, he sounds like a little boy. Mm-hmm. And not in terms of him being dumb or anything, but he sounds like a little boy that's trying to find his way. He lost whatever it was that he was holding on to, and now he's trying to find his way. I'm not willing to just say F Kanye and he didn't gone off the edge. No, he's still community. He's still culture, regardless of what he is saying. He's still a part of us. And even if if we push him out, he's still a reflection of us. And that's the very reason why we should hold on to him. Because even if he is in the face of white people, he's still representing us. So we should try to, or the people that are connected to him, should try to pour into him because he does have that platform. Mm-hmm. He's not being in control of his platform right now. So the community now needs to help him out. And I think that is, like I said, it's so great that they are out here doing that. Yeah. I just think that's what's necessary. But throwing him to the side and being like, no, you did this. No, yes, we're hurt. That watching the TMV thing is, it's disheartening. Yeah. It hurts to watch.
A lot of people feel like that too.
It is disheartening for him to say those things, but it's also feeling and understanding, okay, let's look at what has transpired. Yeah. What have you been trying to do? I'm not willing to just throw him out like a Stacey Dash.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and the thing is that I think this brings up a good conversation too, just about mental health. And I think what bothered me the most about this situation was the fact that his wife dismissed like his whole he doesn't have any mental issues, but it's very clear that that he's dealing with something. And even going back to when his mom died, I've always said this. I was like, I feel like he has not been the same since his mom passed away. And I feel like that would throw anybody into something because, number one, your mom died suddenly. Like, at the height of your career, she passed away. The one person, she raised you. She was your comfort. She was your rock. She was your everything. And then, literally, in a day, you lose that. I don't even know how I would be if that happened to my mom, you know? Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, after she passed away, when they did an autopsy, her autopsy was inconclusive. They just know that she died from complications from the surgery, but they don't know like what exactly it is. They don't know like how it affected her. They can actually pinpoint a reason for it. But I think that he's never gotten closure from that. And I feel like a lot of that and a lot of who Kanye is has to do with that. And I think that it's a dangerous thing when you don't acknowledge that. I think it's a dangerous thing when you try to dismiss it because those things happen. And for you not to address it and for you not to talk about it, it brings up, things like this happen, and then on top of that, I saw where he wanted to make the doctor who performed surgery on his mom, he wanted to make that his album cover. So I still think that he's working through those issues. So I don't know, like, what I'm saying? Like, it could be an issue of him not being in his right mind. We never know. But I'm just disappointed overall in the response because I can understand, like, you trying to help the community and you trying to unify the community, but there's a way that you can go about it without feeling like you're trying to dismiss the black community.
But if he's not in his right mental state of mind, then the right way about it is his cognizant. He's not thinking right. So if we're going to identify that he has mental things that he needs to get through, we can't go and throw in the face, but you're not doing this right. No, you now have to correct what's going on in your head. Yeah. And, you know, like I said in the Charlamagne video, he said, you know, he hasn't been to therapy. And when Charlamagne asked him, have you been to therapy? He, like, stops and looks like, you can see on his face, like, he's like, I know I probably should. And then he diverts and goes, well, everybody is my therapist. I have people that I talk to 45 minutes out the day, and they're my therapist. And I'm like, boom, there it is. That's the black community right there that turns therapy into now something that's negative. He just explained that. So I'm like, we can't say, Kanye, you have a mental thing that you're going through, but you still need to fight for us correctly. No, we have to now address Kanye. We can't even address what he's doing. We got to address Kanye and say, okay, now you have to fix your mental, and then maybe once we get your mental right, then we'll start seeing better actions. But for right now, it's like you can't even, like, that video, you can't even worry about what he's saying. You have to now focus on why he's saying it. You can't look at these videos and go, man, he keeps saying this, or he's supporting Donald Trump. Like, it ain't even about that, because he's a part of us. So when people in your family go through issues, you're not going to, oh, look at the girlfriend, we need to deal with the girlfriend. No, let's deal with you, Johnny. Like, we about to deal with you. Forget all these other people that you got going on. We about to deal with you. Tell him to stop rocking with him, okay? But then at the end of the day, you got to deal with Kanye.
Right. Yeah, I agree. We got some comments. The Hangout Podcast, shout out to y'all. Hello. They said he lost his marbles. What he's saying is dangerous. DJ Teddy B, hey, oh my mama. He said the interview with Charlamagne was actually pretty good. He lost it all back with TMZ. And then Stevie said Kanye is viewing life from upper class perspective. Also, Kanye is in the OJ Simpson world. I don't know. Do y'all feel like he being a little OJ?
In terms of what?
Like just in how he's acting.
I just think his level of thinking is totally different. And I mean, I bet you there's a bunch of other people that are thinking the same way he's thinking. But I just feel like his level of thinking is so like far up. What was his last album where he was calling himself Yeezus and all this kind of stuff? Yeah. So like his level of thinking, like to somebody like me compare myself to Jesus like that, it's kind of like, oh. But to other people, it was more so the intellectual thinking of like calling yourself a god, like in the perspective of like being that high up, like seeing yourself a certain way. So once I kind of saw this video and then this video, I was kind of like, okay, his level of thinking is just so like far out there, where he just feels like I can just change everybody's perspective by voicing my opinion.
Well,
you know, like
in himself more. He believes in himself more than the majority of people do, and I think that was his downfall. Also, is that he has not needed to be humble. So he has been on this high horse for this long. And now that things have not been, playing out the way that he wants them to be, he's now experiencing humility, which he is not used to. So he's processing it differently. But Kanye speaks on being confident in yourself, and he has exhibited self-confidence on a level that we are not used to. Yeah. We think he's just, oh my God, like Kanye is just too cocky.
He's just extra.
He believes in himself so much.
Yeah. And really you can see that through that whole album too.
Yeah. Before we go to break though, somebody said Kanye is trying to unify us with people who don't even think we're equal. I don't think it's malicious, but it's definitely dangerous. Somebody said he's not being malicious at all. He's causing us to think. Look at what we're doing now. It's not even about Kanye. It's about what he's saying. I think he's trying to provoke thought. There are other ways to get people to think. I understand what she's saying. Being for everybody won't stop them from accidentally shooting us 20 times when we're unarmed. We got a lot of responses. Okay. So that's a little bit. Somebody said it may be PTSD.
Elder Akila.
Yeah, the media controls a lot of what we see. Black people are unifying. We're also being positive on a bigger scale. It just isn't the agenda the media wants to push. So we got a lot of responses though. We can't get through all of them right now because we need to go to break. But you guys hold on tight, okay? We're gonna keep this conversation going because we're gonna get into Bill Cosby next. And we gonna see what y'all got to say about this. Okay, so we're gonna switch some gears.
should stop building sandcastles, cause it always feels like the current is coming in. Oh yeah, lately it's been tough trying to get past you. Should've listened when you told me that it's the end. Oh yeah, maybe I should spend more time hanging with the friends that I came with, cause I can't quit thinking about you, no. Baby, I spend all my life trying to build what's right in front of me. Oh, how dumb of me, cause now the waves are coming in to wash my love away, and then I'll build it up again. Oh yeah, this time I hope you'll stay. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. See you all the time, eh? Memories in my mind. You say you need a break, I say I can't relate. Saw you down on 10th Street, you act like you don't miss me. I thought I had your heart, now it's tearing me apart. Oh yeah, yeah, maybe I should spend more time hanging with the friends that I came with, cause I can't quit thinking about you, no. Maybe I don't waste all my life trying to be what's right in front of me. Oh, how dumb of me, cause now the waves are coming in to wash my love away, and then I'll build it up again. Oh yeah, this time I hope you'll stay, cause now the waves are coming in to wash my love away, and then I'll build it up again. Oh yeah, this time I hope you'll stay. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Dun 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 dun. Da 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 da.
Yo, Alex.
Hey, what's up, Tato?
Y'all coming through Saturday, right?
Come on, man. You know I wouldn't miss that for the world.
I've been hanging with my kids, just chilling, man. I'm living like a father. All my brothers that can relate to me, man. Shout out my real fathers. Take care of your kids, even if you cannot work it out with baby mama.
What's that?
Working 9 to 5, hustling, so you never see your kids starve. Changing diapers, making bottles, feeding your kids, that's a real father. If you ain't called your kids in a couple days, man, you not a real father.
Yeah, real fathers.
Coco's Lip Smacking Cupcakes offers custom cakes and cupcakes for every occasion. We proudly bake everything from scratch. With every moist and mouth-watering bite, you will be smacking your lips by the time you are finished. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Lip Smacking Cupcakes.
Look, life on the edge, get a grip. Know that they want me to slip. Hustle but something to quit. Ain't no pitch down for this clip.
When you die, somebody else was born, but at least we got to say we ran on the digit, we ran on the money, we ran on the digit, we ran on that money, we ran on the digit, we ran on the money. We ran on the digit, we ran on the money, we ran on the digit, we ran on some money.
Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Queen's Table Talk here on the Hub Radio. So we are going to get into, we're still on Tell Me Why, but we're going to get into Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby was found guilty on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault last week. If you guys have been keeping up with the news, you know that over 60 women have came out to say that have accused Bill Cosby of drugging them and raping them through the course of his career. So probably like between like 30 and 40 years. So he was
Wait, I'm sorry. I thought it was a mistrial. It's not a mistrial?
No, it was a mistrial, but they had retrial. The first one was a mistrial, but then they tried it again. So now they found him guilty.
Oh.
So
Try again after a mistrial?
After a mistrial, yes.
Well, I read something about like the judge saying in 120 days we're going to come back to trial, but I just only read that it was a mistrial. I didn't know that he was already tried again.
Girl, like they tried him again, girl. So her name is
CNN is late.
Girl, her name is Andrea Constant, okay? She's an employee at Temple University.
Yeah.
So this
she's
actually
white, right?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
This actually
Actually, I was looking at some pictures, and like about like 3 of them were black and the rest were all white, but majority of them are white.
Yeah. You see, my thing is this. So I mean, if he did what he did, which actually he confessed to, so in a deposition back in 2005, they had released it, and in the video they were saying, well, he was saying that he did, have Quaaludes, but he said that he acquired them, but he didn't give them to them.
I saw that too.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, to be honest with you, he kind of told upon himself, because if you have them, I mean, like, what else you gonna do with them, So I mean, if he did what he did, I really think that he should be locked up and that he should be in jail by all means. I don't care how old he is. That's not cool. That ain't right for you to do to no woman, white, black, whatever. But when I first saw the conviction, I was really irritated that day because literally that was the only thing that I saw online, and that was the only thing I saw when I got home. Like, literally no shows came on that day. Like, everything was all about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby this, Bill Cosby that. And I feel like with all these men out here who have been accused of sexual harassment, have been accused of the same thing, I feel like everybody's choosing to pay attention to Bill Cosby, but you ain't heard nothing else about Harvey Weinstein. You haven't heard anything else. Your president, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, he's going through a whole sex scandal right now with a porn star. So you have you have all these other men, who are out here doing the same thing that he's doing. Maybe not to the same extent in some cases, but at the same time, like, I just feel like, how come nobody else is getting the same treatment? How come nobody else is getting charged with this kind of stuff? How come nobody else is how come their legacies are not being tarnished in the same way that Bill Cosby's is?
Because his legacy has bettered black people in a way. He's a black man that has put in for the community regardless of the mess he did or didn't do. So that's just what it is. And I don't know if this is devil's advocate, but I just have an issue with it because it's. And not that I have an issue with the justice system as always. We can find him guilty on things that happened, countless amount of years ago. It was wrong, but then we can't find any of these cops guilty. We can't find Donald Trump guilty. We can't find Harvey Weinstein guilty. We can't find these men that are working guilty. We can't find anybody else guilty but a black man who has poured into the black community, that put positive images out there, not just for adults. He did families. He did Little Bill. Right. He did a college show.
A Different World, yeah.
Those are things. He covered all bases, and then there's a post that's going around in 2014. He was trying to opt into NBC, and 2014 is when the allegations began. And then shortly after, in the fall of 2014, NBC dropped or launched NBC Black. So it's like, I'm not saying he's innocent or he's guilty, but I do know if you do pour into our communities, either you end up dead or you end up like Bill Cosby, where they're going to allow or put you in a cell to rot. I just don't think, he should do his time, but if he's going to do his time, so does everybody else do his time. And if they're not going to do his time, let dude walk.
Right.
That's what I said. Like, that's just really my whole thing is the fact that you guys need to give everybody else that same energy when it comes to it. And everybody's talking about, like, oh, getting Bill Cosby off. I mean, not Bill, the Cosby Show off of their network. Like, let's stop.
No,
Yeah, but I'm like, but y'all still playing Seventh Heaven, and y'all still playing Two and a Half Men. Okay, dude from Seventh Heaven was over here touching upon little girls. So, but y'all still play Seventh Heaven, right?
Y'all voted for y'all president. So
yeah. Y'all still voted for your president.
Okay, so, and it's a positive thing for black people. Right. We don't have that many positive things. That's something, I mean, growing up in a Christian household, that was one of the only things that I was able to watch. It does not tarnish the images that I saw from A Different World, from Little Bill. Seeing that you saw yourself in that. So taking that away from us is just feed into the, the systematic things. It's one of those, I mean, it's not a cool thing. And he will always have a special place in my heart. Yeah. Just because of what for my life, that's what I saw. That's what I was allowed to watch, and it was just a positive thing. Yeah. But I mean, it sucks. Our justice system is whack. And it's I mean, if you're white, you can rape and you can grab on whoever you want to grab on and get off. Don't be black and do it.
Oh my God. Okay, so I know this is gonna take a quick turn. Okay, but I got to tell you guys this. I can't hold it in. So I saw this video this morning. This 19-year-old white woman, actually. She over 18. So she burned her baby and buried her baby. So she had just given birth and burned her baby and buried him. And the news, oh my God, if you could hear the way they were talking about her. They were like, well, she gives back to her community. She's a young girl and like, she's just trying to like, we should give her a pass. I'm like, are you serious right now? If you let that be a black woman or anybody else who's not white, and what community do you have that you're giving back to?
Her baby. Like,
she's irresponsible. Right. She shouldn't have got pregnant in the first place. But you got this white girl who got pregnant and hid her pregnancy, like, and burned her baby. Like, she should be in jail right now. But everybody's trying to make excuses for her and trying to, like, cover her. Like, she gives back to her community. What community are you giving back to? And brought up the fact that, like, that she comes from a lot of money and her dad is rich and whatnot. I'm like, okay. I was like, I already see where this is gonna go. But stuff like this, it really irritates you, like, and it makes you mad because you see it happening all the time, and it's just like people pretend like we don't have a reason to be upset or we don't have a reason to be to feel some kind of way, but we do. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think nowadays it's common to be like, oh, but what if that was a black woman or a black man? That's like the
just like that video that we posted with that white man running up on that cop like that, and all them cops was around and he was beating up that cop. Like, if you get too close to a cop, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I fear for my life. Right. Like, dude, like you squared up with a cop. And still lived to tell about it.
And to tie it back to the Kanye thing, because Kanye had also said he was like something about Obama was sent from heaven, but Trump is the reason why he feels that he is president. And I think that was a dumb statement because Obama is the reason why you can become president. Mm-hmm. If you were black and you had Trump's record, they would lynch you. Like,
literally,
they would do a.
You would not. It still got scandals while you're in the office.
But I'm like, I don't know why he feels like that, because he feels he can do the impossible. But you got to understand, the impossible with white privilege is not the same as the impossible for a black person. Mm-hmm. It's just two different things. Mm-hmm. White privilege gets you into spaces because you are white. Being black, you don't get that same. Mm-hmm. You don't get the same thing. So you have to be an Obama. Mm-hmm. But I think, I don't know, he just missed the mark with that. Where it's Obama is what makes you feel that you can get into office. Trump has nothing to do with that because he's white. He has certain privileges that a lot of privileges that black people don't have, and we can see that. This man is like a whole criminal, and he's serving in the White House.
A whole criminal, and no shame. Because he knows he can get away with whatever he does. And he's even said that, even when he was running for president, he said, I can do whatever I want. Like, I can say whatever I want, and all these people are just going to soak it up.
And he can.
Yeah, exactly.
The same privilege they both have is that they're both rich, basically. That's the only same privilege.
The girl and Trump?
No, Kanye and Trump.
Kanye and Trump, I'm not about to play.
He has privilege.
He has rich privilege.
Well, he earned that, though. White privilege is something you can't earn.
Yep.
It's on the same grounds.
Yep. But you guys, let's get into this excerpt by Lisa Ray. I mean, not Lisa. Issa Rae. I don't know why I was thinking about Lisa Ray. Issa Rae. We're gonna get into this, okay? So she made an excerpt in her book, and her book, The Awkward Black Girl, and she was talking about how Asian men and black women are at the bottom of the social totem pole, which is very true.
I don't think that's true.
Well, the thing is that I remember I told you guys about this.
I want to date black women.
But there's a lot of people out here who got an issue with black women.
Who don't want to date a black woman?
But as far as statistics, literally,
if I walk into a room with some white men, it's somebody that's gonna holler at me. If I walk into a room with some Asian men, it's somebody that's gonna holler at me.
But do you want to marry a black woman? That's the question.
We're saying at the bottom of the totem pole. If I'm interested in a white man, I'm sure he is gonna marry me. Oh, look, I got this black chick. She all pro-black and all of this, and she all for her people. Like, yeah, like. No, I don't believe that. I don't think we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Well, the thing is that statistically,
white people.
They said that we are the least likely to get married.
Well, yeah, no. I told you. Okay,
to get married mean least likely to be.
I told y'all about this. Okay, so when I was in school, when Issa Rae made her excerpt in her book, which is not the first time that I heard it. So when I was in school, there was an article that we had to read, and it was talking about Asian men, and it was talking about black women and how we are at the bottom of the social totem pole, especially when it comes to interracial dating. When it comes to interracial dating, black men are number one to date outside their race. And also not only black men, but also white men. Because white men, they end up dating a lot of Asian women. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that because a lot of Asian women are more so, like, they're more docile. And they're more so, they're more submissive than white women, which is what they say, like, which is why they rather, marry Asian women. And then we talked about black men and why black men rather date outside of their race and rather date white women. So it was a whole conversation. So it's not so much like that people can be attracted to black women, but with the statistics that were up on there, it was more so talking about marriage. So when it comes to,
according to the
100-year-old lady, she didn't turn down about 5 people. So maybe it's just we turning people down. Cause we just went over it. She didn't live for 100 years and she turned down 5 people. So maybe we just turning them down. I'm not going to sit here and accept the fact that society is telling us that we aren't likely to get married. Sometimes we don't want to get married.
First of all, I'm getting married.
I just think that's something like, it doesn't even sound right. Like, black women are the engineers, the fuel to beauty. Mm-hmm. So I don't even think that's it. I think a lot of the times it's just we don't want to marry, and we do want to stay with our black men, but because our black men are stepping out of the race at higher numbers, we're opting into being single. But you mean to tell me we on the same playing field as some Asian men? And all that we got? Come on now. That don't even sound right to nobody. To Asian men, and no shade to y'all, but come on now, look at us. Like, it just don't make sense to me. I'm not willing. And who put that out? Some white people? I'm sure they did. Yeah. Some white woman that was hating.
She said some white woman.
Like, I just don't agree with that.
Not a white woman. But I feel like this even goes back to when we all had that conversation about, remember that one show when they were talking about, Rome for Love?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I had an issue with that show because they were talking about how black men did not like black women or whatever, and how black women need to date outside of their race because black men, like, they don't appreciate black women over in the States. So she took them over to Rome to try to find love and whatnot. And I even told y'all, I don't feel like that is the solution to the problem, is just to go and date outside your race. Like, I don't want to date no.
Well, this has to do with white people, but she was saying somebody from your race broke your heart, so now you date in the race that broke your people. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so deep.
That is deep.
And then also somebody was telling me, I think Alicia, we were having a conversation, and she was saying black men are now fighting to date, or for it to be okay for them to date white women, only because they are now allowed to. Mm-hmm. When at first they were being killed for it. Mm-hmm. But now because you're allowed to, now you're trying to get close. But not too long ago, they was killing y'all for doing that. Mm-hmm. So then why, is our mental now shifting? I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me why y'all do the things that y'all do. And black men are not that bad. We make it seem like they just trash and all they want is sneakers and they just sag their pants.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. No, we love black men. We really do. Yes. Like, I love y'all. But it's just.
Are we going to talk about, like, going back to Issa Rae's actual excerpt, or
the Asian men?
Yeah.
Oh, the Asian men.
Kind of like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. Yes,
no.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I did. Oh no, wait, I can't find it.
I was like, wait, are we gonna talk about how people are like going for Issa Rae right now?
They were going in upon her for what she said, but at least what they said is that you got to read it up in the context of her book, because I do believe it. Because even like when you look at even when you watch Insecure, like you can tell like that she has like a sarcastic you know, way that she does things. Yes,
but we just came for Kanye for putting on the Make America Great Again hat. So then Issa Rae gets a pass because of what she's saying, but we can't understand Kanye in the context of what he's saying.
I almost think
if
that
we
you
don't
can't
hold black people accountable, we gotta hold everybody accountable. You can't just say BS and think, oh, because it was satire, like it was satire, we gonna ooh cool. We just came for Kanye for about 30 minutes because of what he said. But we gonna understand her saying that black men aren't intellectually good enough to sit or marry a black woman.
Hold on, wait. No. Issa Rae didn't say that though.
No, she didn't say that. We're not finding, or to some extent, we're not finding black men that are matching us intellectually.
Hold on. I don't think that you can compare Kanye to the Kanye situation to Issa Rae's situation.
But
I think that what she said,
they're both saying things that are detrimental to
pieces of the excerpt.
Yeah,
already.
No, I'm just saying to let the people know who have not read it.
Yes, read the excerpt for me, please.
The whole thing?
Not the whole thing, just the part where she talks about the social. Oh wait, I have it.
Okay.
So she said, in fact, Asian Americans have the highest rate of intermarriage. And so she said, this is why I propose that black women and Asian men join forces in love, marriage, and procreation. Educated black women, what better intellectual match for you than an Asian man? And I'm not talking about Filipinos because they're the black of Asians. I'm talking Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, etc. I mean, I'm not here for this. Okay, I'm not here for it. But like I said, I wouldn't put it in the same category as Kanye.
But we're saying Kanye is saying something that should not be said, and we said that he has a platform and he now has to be responsible for what he is saying. Now, when Issa Rae, because she went a different way about saying it, she used comedy to say it, and she put it in a book. It's okay for her to now, because she said it's a widening gap for what? It's a widening gap between the education of black women and men, basically saying that women are on top and the black men are on the bottom. That is something that you have to be cautious of because you have a platform as a black woman. I'm not willing to sit here and come for Kanye and not come for Issa on that. Regardless of it being comedy or not, we got to check both of them. You have to be very cautious of what you are putting out, because any black person that has a platform is now a representative of black people, because we don't have enough. So I don't care if you're using comedy. I don't care if you put 50 JKs. I don't care if you was laughing through the whole thing. No, she put it out in a different way. It's still detrimental to our community. And I think somebody tweeted, like, he was just like, what did we as black men do to get basically like dumped on like that? Like, what did we do to deserve this? So now you're coming for our black men. This is detrimental in the same way Kanye is being detrimental. She used comedy, so that's why it's a comic relief, because she used comedy. But we can't sit here and come for Kanye and not come for Issa, or say, within the book. No, it's just not okay. We can't do that. You got to come for both, because they both have platforms. You got to watch what you say as a black person. She shouldn't have said that. This is not good for the community at all.
Again, I think this is about, number one, perspective, because when I was reading this, to me, like watching her shows, reading the whole excerpt, I haven't read her book yet, but to me, she was saying, you guys are both on the same bottom of the playing field. Why don't y'all just go ahead and marry each other? What better person? Black women are intellectual. I don't think so much she was saying like black men are less intellectual than black women, but I think she was saying Asian men are known to be so smart. Why don't y'all just, boom, perfect match right there.
And Kanye is saying black people are this and white people are that. Why can't we be united?
I mean, I don't
think...
Same
context.
I don't think...
the same context. We can't.
And then in the comments, too, the shade room...
We got a comment. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we have some intelligent brothers out here, too, now. Issa Rae needs the... and Kanye needs Jesus Christ.
Who is that from?
I am truly and sincerely blessed.
That's her real name.
I am sincerely blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes.
I mean, I don't.
But I don't think that people should continuously try to solve black women's problem by replacing it with something else. Like I told y'all, even going back to that one show, that Tyrone for Love, I don't think that the solution to black women's problem is finding an Italian man. I don't think that the issue to our problem is finding an Asian man or Chinese, Vietnamese, whatever he is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are.
Just hop off this Kanye conversation though.
But I mean, okay. So I can see where you coming from as far as having to come for Issa and come for Kanye too. Only reason why I'm not coming for Issa like that is because I haven't read the whole book. And from what I've read as far as the excerpts upon it, it seems like it was more of, not with, like you kind of said with Kanye, it wasn't like malicious intent, but it doesn't seem like, you know, it was more of a suggestion in how she made it, rather than it being like, oh, black men ain't about nothing and black men F y'all.
So, okay. Wasn't a suggestion about what Kanye said.
Okay, so then we can say that it is a suggestion between Kanye and Trump, and then it is a suggestion about Issa Rae saying, like, why not y'all just get
Asian
together?
man.
Like, why the black women, Asian men on the bottom just date each other? So we could say about both situations, they are suggestions. Because both of them, I don't see malicious intent at all. I mean, I don't think she was really dumping on the black man, and I don't think Kanye was really, you know, trying to.
I'm not dating.
I'm just tarnish the black community.
But I don't think, and I posted it too, and there was a lot of black women coming to her defense, and that's what I don't like. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's okay, it's not this, but then we hopping on Kanye. We have to, like, I hate to say that's what's wrong with black people, but that's what's wrong with black people. Like, we want to, because she said it nicer, and in the church, that's what happens in the church too. He said it nicer, so I want to go over there. But he made me feel like I was a sinner when he was talking to me, so I don't go to that church anymore. Like, I just think it's wrong for us to think what Issa said was okay, regardless of what the other book says. Because you haven't watched all the interviews, but you were able to come for Kanye. But you
hold on, wait. Which interviews didn't I watch?
All the interviews. Did you watch the show?
I did. I watched that one, and I watched the T.I. one.
And you watched what's the other one? The one on TMZ?
You watched the
whole Charlamagne one?
Not the whole one. I saw the little clips from it.
No, that's what I'm saying is that you're saying you didn't read the whole Issa Rae book, but we also have not been completely educated on everything that Kanye is talking about either. So I'm just saying we can't play safe with one and not play safe with the other. That's not fair.
And that's what I said. I think they're both not malicious in their intent. I think they're just suggestive.
Oh, well, can we acknowledge the fact that... Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to actually go...
Oh, it's time to go break?
Quick break. Okay. We're going to go to a quick break, guys. We'll be right back with this really great discussion.
Okay. Wait, what time is it? Hold on, wait. I lost track of time.
The Hub.
Yo, Alex.
Hey, what's up, Tato?
Y'all coming through Saturday, right?
Come on, man. You know I wouldn't miss that for the world.
I've been hanging with my kids, just chilling, man. I'm living like a father. All my brothers that can relate to me, man. Shout out my real fathers. Take care of your kids, even if you cannot work it out with baby mama.
What's that?
Working 9 to 5, hustling, so you never see your kids starve. Changing diapers, making bottles, feeding your kids, that's a real father. If you ain't called your kids in a couple days, man, you not a real father.
Yeah, real fathers.
Lip Smacking Cupcakes offers custom cakes and cupcakes for every occasion. We proudly bake everything from scratch. With every moist and mouth-watering bite, you will be smacking your lips by the time you are finished. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Lip Smacking Cupcakes.
Look, life on the edge, get a grip. Know that they want me to slip. Hustle but something to quit. Ain't no pitched out for this.
Hey, we're back.
I always forget to put my
What
mic
was
back
Mo
in front of
saying
my face.
before we got to the break?
About the educated black men.
Oh.
So we had some comments for some educated black men. Okay, so there's some educated black brothers up on our feed. Okay, so I'm here for y'all. I'm always here for y'all. So somebody said, I don't think it's hard either in terms of finding an educated black man. You want an educated black man, so you surround yourself amongst educated people, which I agree with. I just feel like, you know, like whatever energy that you get is what you're gonna, you know, get back. And I feel like you have to surround yourself with other people. So if you want you an educated black man, honestly, they're not hard to find. I don't found like some quality black men, you know. And they're not hard to find. I don't think that when you try to label black men as one dimensional, I don't think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, black men, you guys are strong, you guys are extraordinary, you guys are educated, you guys are just amazing overall. You know what I'm saying? I love black men. I can only see myself being with a black man, and you know, I don't have no beef with y'all. But I just, you know, in some cases though, because we've had all of us equally on this panel have got into it with some black men, you know, like just like in terms of thinking differently, you know, in terms of that, you know, and I done heard some crazy stuff as to why they don't date black women, why they won't date black women, and that's perfectly fine. And I said this before on our last
fine to me.
Well, the thing is that going back to our conversation that we had, it was a couple weeks ago. We talked about interracial dating, and I said I just stopped getting upset about it. It doesn't bother me no more. Like, so when you say that you don't date black women because of whatever superficial reason, it don't bother me no more, because I feel like that's more of a reflection of you, and it's more of a reflection of your self-hate. Because if I don't like myself, if I don't like this element about who I am or where I come from, I'm not going to be with somebody that reflects what I don't like about myself. So therefore, your issue with black women is not my issue. I'm perfectly fine with who I am.
It definitely bothers me to hear anybody.
It's disheartening.
Yeah, it bothers me just as a person to hear a black man say, "Oh, I don't date black women," because in your face they're telling you, "I don't date you because I don't like this, that, and the other." I mean, it does.
But you don't like yourself.
I mean, it does have to go with self-hate, but we have to we can't sit up here and say, oh, when a black man says that we got a bulletproof shield up, and it just, it just bounces off. Like, it's something that I think it does hurt as a black woman to hear that. We hear it all too often, and it's disheartening. Like you said, it's just not a cool thing to hear. But I want to say I am tired, because I even saw a video today. A black man was walking. I don't know if y'all saw it, but Crystal posted it, and she was saying, well, you know, black men, we got to focus on the why and not the what. Issa Rae is saying, and he was like, we do have to be more educated, and you're not able to. The women are not finding men that are easy, or that are on their level intellectually. And I was just like, as a black man, him saying that, like, I just didn't like hearing that. And sometimes we as black women, Issa Rae also said this in her book, we are like uptight and very sedity. We have to understand the system that we are in. I'm not saying that you have to accept certain things, but there's a lot of things that go on with black men. Like DJ Teddy B said, he has a felon and he also has a college degree. A lot of our black men have been unjustly served by the justice system. And we've had conversations where it's been like, oh, if you're a felon, it's a no deal. But it's not fair, because we're dealing with an unjust system. So black women also need to take that into account. Just because you have a felon, it does not mean you are the dumbest person in the world or that you are a bad person. It just means that you have a felon. And that's it. So I think that also is a reason why, because a lot of our black men have been in prison, and we cancel them out because of that. But I think we have to be understanding to certain things, And you know, these little Beckys and stuff probably are like, oh, you're a felon, I like that. Like, and we over here like, no,
they like the image of you. They like, they just like the idea of black.
I mean, but they like it, and we over here like, no, I don't need that. So it's like, I honestly would go with who's liking me more. And if black women are shunning you, then, which we do a lot. I mean, even at my events, we have women that bash men almost every event. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, when I go see Becky at her little whatever, she ain't bashing me like you are. So, I mean, what's the deal? Like, maybe we should do better.
Yeah, I agree.
And
so we have
of do better.
Go ahead. Okay, so Lovely Leah has this post that she wants to read.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I saw this post on Instagram, and it just really made me think. And I was like, you know, let me bring this to the queens and see what they think about it. Okay. So it says, I was dating a Mexican man once. I always ask men I date about their first love, so I asked him. He told me that his first love was a girl in Mexico, and he had been crazy about her, and they were so close. But he could not marry her because she came from a wealthy family, and he did not have the money to give her that kind of life. I immediately started saying, but if you loved each other, that shouldn't matter. Love is all that's important. He cut me off. Don't get offended, he said, but only you black women think like that, and it is not good. If I love her, why would I want to offer her a lesser life than she was raised with? What kind of man would I be if I took a woman I loved from a life where she wanted for nothing and gave her a life where she had to do without? I was raised to believe that a man does not do that to a woman he loves. If I really love her, I want her to have the best life. I want her to have everything she has now and even more if that's possible, even if that means she is not with me. I actually was offended, but only because I realized that Rico was right. And I suddenly realized how foolish my way of thinking was. # Black women divest now.
I'm sorry, break this down for me. She said that she
was dating a Mexican man and asked, like, oh, have you ever been in love, you know, ask him about his first love, and he said, yes, I love this girl in Mexico, but I couldn't marry her. She was like, why? He was like, because she was from a very wealthy family. I'm not from a very wealthy family, so I was just like, you know, we were madly in love, but I let her go because I didn't want to kind of take her away from that and not be able to provide for her what she was so used to. And if I really do love her, then how can I take her out of that like place of security?
Of her being secure, like financially,
wealthy.
No, well,
basically living
beyond her comfortability.
Yeah,
but you love her.
He's a punk.
But what he's saying is, how can I say that I really love her and take her out of
coins
that?
Up.
Like, yeah, like I mean, but the thing is that this kind of goes back to our conversation last week when we talked about the whole engagement ring thing. Like, okay, if you had a man, right, and he didn't have enough money to get you an engagement ring, and he proposed to you, would you still accept it? And all of us said yes. But I think that to say that you don't want to be with her or you don't want to take her out of that element, like
he was saying that he cannot keep up that way of living for her.
So he knows he can't do that for her. So that's like
you living where you living in the house or whatever, and this dude is like living in the projects, and he like, man, I really love Mo, but I live in the projects and she living in Cerritos.
Yeah, you over there used to eat a fish grill and he over there eating top ramen every day.
I do eat fish grill every day.
Well, would you date a dude in the projects?
Yeah, I mean, like, why not?
Yeah, your face
first of all, I have. What is that?
Wait, but he also
everybody thinks that I'm just like a bitch, like
bougie.
Not recently. I would have to say not in my adult life. I haven't. Like we talked about, like maybe like early 20s, maybe like okay, then no, not recently. I haven't.
And that's exactly what he said. He said black women.
Honestly, I haven't dated nobody
think like that, and that's not
Don't
good.
bring up my dating life again.
No, I'm just that wasn't shade towards you. I'm just helping you understand the scenario.
Black women what?
He said black women think like that and it's not good.
Well, first of all,
what's black women?
Pico, whoever
he said because he said because she was saying if you love each other, it doesn't matter. Like love is all that's important.
Dude, get your coins up. Work hard. Like stop being a punk. What are you talking about? You can't afford my way of living. But if you work hard. Like what is that? I don't understand what that is. oh, you just gonna be working at McDonald's for the rest of your life? Like, I don't.
But I think that if you're with the right woman, like, she'll motivate you to reach whatever potential. Like, I think that, if you love her, then you would work hard to maybe, do better or to give her a better life. Even though, like, I'm saying, I'm not asking you for no mansion. I'm not asking you, I'm saying, for matching Range Rovers.
I mean,
but I just want my bill
to get you out of the projects.
Yeah. So you can't uphold that standard. So, okay, just think of it like this. Say you used to living in like a mansion, like you basically like a princess. Your family,
so
your
pretty
parents,
much he's saying he don't have nothing to give her. That's what he's saying. He don't have anything to give her.
And you're bringing her out of that kingdom to say, come live with me in the little pauper, the princess in the, pauper, whatever. I'm over here eating beans and rice every day.
But ain't this like Disney movies?
Yeah.
Like, don't they
that's just, I'm trying to help y'all, understand what I'm saying. But, I mean, if you're bringing somebody out of the kingdom and they just used to all of this, I mean, I can see what he's saying. But personally, for me, if I love that person, I'll say, I am going to sacrifice coming from my kingdom. We're going to build together. We're going to upgrade our lifestyles together. And we're going to keep it pushing.
We gotta talk about how he said black women feel like.
Yeah, he did say that.
Like, what?
You the ones that feel that way.
Rico in Mexico. What black women have you been talking to?
The fact that his name is Rico.
Not Rico.
What? I don't know.
Not Rico.
What black woman have you been talking to, and who told you that we think like that? And then, sweetheart, you felt bad, girl. If you don't get yourself together, like. You felt bad because what he was saying was true.
Love is all that matters. That's what she was saying. Love is all that matters. He's like, no.
Love is what matters. And then love will get you through whatever you need to get through. Like, but I'm not going to fall in love with some buster that's just doing who knows what on the weekends.
But if that's,
like,
okay.
But clearly she fell in love with the buster because he ain't, he can't.
He probably isn't a buster. So what he's saying, he's not good enough for the Mexican lady, but he's good enough for the black lady. I got an issue with that. So now you good enough for me. But she wasn't good enough for the Mexican little Latina princess. Well, we're gonna go on a break. We'll be back. I mean, you gotta read between the lines, man.
Took some fighting, and I prayed real hard. It took some crying in the dark. It took a revival when I was scared to try. But finally, I've arrived. It took some lonely roads. It took correction and being told. It hurt my soul and it bruised my pride. But look at me, I survived. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. It took me loving the unlovable. Took forgiveness and letting go. Knowing me and giving my all. But I'm still thriving and I still grow. Took that fire to cleanse my soul. It got ugly sometimes and it got personal. When my walk was reduced to a crawl, now I see it was worth it all. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Hello, you guys. We are back.
You've liked the show so far.
Yeah, so far, great conversation with everyone. So we're going to switch some gears here, and I'm going to tell you guys about this series that I have been watching. It's called Relationship Goals. And it's by Pastor Michael Todd of the Transformation Church. I've been watching a lot of his videos online, and I've actually seen clips of his series on relationship goals, but I did not know that it was like a full-blown 8-part thing. So each part is about an hour. Literally, I watched them all in like a course of 3 days.
At work?
I did. I'm always watching stuff at work.
Wait, where's his church located?
I believe it's in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Transformation.
I believe it's in Oklahoma, yes. But so he has this series called Relationship Goals, you guys, and I'm telling you, you guys need to watch it. Like every woman who is like listening to me, every queen, like y'all really need to go and get your life and read this. Like when I say like, I mean I read it, like watch it, but when you watch it, I really recommend that you have like a notebook along like with notes and whatnot, because it talks about relationships from a biblical standpoint, and it just talks about like the way that relationships should happen, like, you know, and how it should be ordained by God, and like from being single into dating and then going into marriage and then having kids. Like he walks you through that whole timeline. So the first part that he talks about, I don't want to tell you guys everything that happens, but he walks you through like before you get with that person, before that person comes along in your life, God is working upon you. And before that person comes along, God gives you a place, and he gives you provision, he gives you identity, he gives you parameters, and ultimately, like, you're just supposed to let God fill you up with what he has for you. And this is like really, really deep. Like, and it's just about how, talking about how God needs to deposit in our lives before we can become partners with somebody, and how, God only funds his plans. And so many times, like, we want to do things on our own accord, and we want to, you know, get ahead of God. And he talks about that, like, and how God only funds his own plans, and how, you know, we need to follow things his way. And if we don't, like, it always turns out to be bad for you when you don't follow things according to what he wants and according to his standard. So, on the second part, he talks about, this one really resonated with me. He was talking about being single but not being alone. And so many times I think that people mistake being single with being alone. And this one resonated with me because I've told you guys before that I've been single for 3 years now. And I'm content with where I am. I feel like I have enough time, like, to do whatever I want to do and to have fun. But I mean, sometimes it does get lonely to where I feel like, you know, like, when is it going to be like my time, like, to be with somebody and to find somebody? But he talks about all of that and how God wants you in your singleness, and talking about how, you know, you have to embrace the season that you're in. So if you are single at this time, enjoy that, because God is taking this time to use you and to mold you into who he wants you to be. So therefore you can have purpose, and therefore he can build you up. So therefore you're able to carry out that purpose and without being distracted by anybody. So it's deep, y'all. It's so deep. And he was saying that,
like how deep your voice was.
Yeah. And he was saying that singleness is important to God, and that you do not need anybody else to validate who God created you to be. Amen. Oh my God, y'all, this is good stuff. And he was saying that it's more important to be single.
Right here on
I'm telling, this is good stuff.
Look.
I'm telling y'all need to go and look at these videos.
So,
I'm telling y'all.
Just repeat it for the people who, you know, missed it the first
He got
time.
me together, y'all. He got me together.
What's the video called?
What is going on?
What's the video called? They can watch it on YouTube and where else?
It's called Relationship Goals.
Okay.
It's called Relationship Goals by Pastor Michael Todd, and you can find it up on YouTube. It's parts 1 through 8. Originally, it was supposed to be 6 parts, but he extended it to 8 parts. And I promise you, y'all, like, it is really a treat for every last one of y'all, especially like, but it's for women, but also it's for men too, like, because there are men out there who are single and maybe feel like they want to find a wife too. And it's helpful for anybody, like, whether or not you're single, if you're dating, if you're divorced, if you are married, anybody can look at this and watch it, and I promise you, like, you'll really be blessed by it.
And I think it's also, I mean, I know we all maybe used to like the organ and the hoop and the hollering and all of that. But it's not that. It's very there's teachable moments, and it's very like Bible study-ish, like. So it's not like, oh, I'm about to be listening to this long sermon of like the organ playing and everybody running around the church. Like, it's very
you watched it?
Yeah, I did. It's very just easy. It's an easy listening thing. He's very and I don't want to say entertaining, but he makes sure he grabs your attention. There's a lot of gems that he drops that, you know, you don't think that you're gonna hear in a church. I do also think that it has to do a lot with you can help your personal life out with by listening to it, and it can deal with relationships in terms of business or relationships in terms of anything. But we need to be refined with our intentions in our relationships with whatever it is, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's your cousins, or whatever that is. I think this is what he said. He said something about God only funds the plans that
His only funds his plans.
Yeah, God only funds the plans that he basically ordains. And a lot of times we're like knocking on doors or trying to get stuff to happen, but it's not working because it's not what he ordained for you. So just hearing different stuff like that, it's a really good series to watch.
I'm excited.
How many parts
to
have you
watch
watched?
it. I'm excited.
I'm on the second one.
You on the second one? Okay.
I'm excited to watch it. I'm gonna try to watch it
Please
tonight.
do.
But I definitely I like that he's a younger pastor too. I like that. I like that because it's more relatable. You know. Do you know if he's married?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, yeah. So I like that he's speaking from experience too. You know, sometimes pastors like.
It's a lot of relationship therapists out here that are not married. Which
yeah.
It's like, and then they'll go like, I know I'm not married. And it's like, we know
right. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, how you can give marriage counseling and you're not married. That doesn't make sense to me.
You know, that's why I'm so good. No, like, what? I don't.
That's why I'm so
good. Like, you ain't never cooked chicken before. You a vegetarian, but you about to come in here and work this fried chicken. Like, oh, go ahead and make it. Like,
go make some potato salad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that he is a younger pastor, and I think that like it'll be able to hold your attention more, you know.
Yeah.
And it's more relatable.
And he's
like
funny
I
too.
know you guys are millennials, and I'm like not too far from your age, so I can tell you how to break it down and let you know how it is. You know?
Yeah. And the thing is that I think what resonated with me so much, I think the reason why this one resonated with me so much is because I hear about relationship talk all the time in church, you know, and it's always the same thing, you know, like wait upon God, you know, don't have sex, you know, like wait upon him. And it's like the way that he breaks things down to a science, like to where you can really understand it. And like you said, like to where he drops gems upon you to where you're like, I didn't think about this before. I was really excited. Like I was really over here, like just writing and writing because it's a new perspective and it's a new way to look at things. Because so many times, like we just think of ourselves like, okay, this is where I am right now. I'm not happy. I don't know where I'm going to go. But no, like he's shifting your perspective on a lot of things. And even when we talk about just singleness, like it's a time like for you to really get all that God has for you, to build you up as a whole person before you go and get married, because you can't be half a person. You can't be damaged and I can't be damaged, and we get together and it's just a hot mess. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be able to be who we are, come in as a whole person though. But y'all, this is good. And he talks about.
So I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Question. So each video is like a different stage of like the relationship to marriage.
Yeah, girl. Okay, so he talks about being single but not alone.
Okay.
And then he said it's okay to be single, but it's not good to be alone. So we have to talks about that, like how we should not put ourselves in isolation. He talks about the myths of dating. I don't want to tell you guys like everything that he says. I want you guys like, you know, like to look at it for yourself though. But one of the things that he said was that dating is not a destination. Dating is transportation. So you got people who've been in relationships for like 10, 15 years. Like, no, like you're not supposed to be stuck in the state of dating. You're supposed to actually be going somewhere with this. Like we got to be getting married or something. Like I just can't be here with you. Like, and we just, you know, shacking up, whatever. But then he talks about marriage with his wife is up on there with him, and they're talking about different keys and to make marriage work and whatnot, which is really good because marriage is something that I hope to aspire to one day, and I hope to be married one day. And even though I'm not married, it's like he drops a lot of gems as far as marriage and what does that look like to God and what does that look like in God's eyes. And then he talks about, let's see here, he has a panel discussion up in one of his parts where he brings in regular people, and he actually asks a lot of questions. So all the questions that he asks up in his panel discussion, I wrote all of them down, and I'm actually going to go back and answer them myself, so that way I can reflect, and that way I can kind of like, you know, because you know like when you watch stuff though, you hear everybody else's answers, but I'm like, let me just go back and like, you know, sit down and think about this, because it makes you look at your own life, and it makes you look at your own situation and your own relationships. And then he talks about sex and part 6. Part 7, he talks about sex as well. And then in the very, very last one, he talks about how do you know when a relationship needs to end, y'all. This is good stuff. I'm telling y'all, this right here, I'm telling you, it'll bless your whole socks off. It'll bless your socks off, your shoes, your shoelaces. I promise you that.
That's a new one. Mm-hmm. That's a new one.
Oh, the shoes and the shoes?
That's a new one.
Oh, yeah, girl. Yeah. But no, yeah, I highly recommend, like I said, for you all to watch it because I was very blessed by it, and I'm pretty sure that the rest of you will be blessed by it too. So by all means, you guys watch it and let us know. We can all talk about it. Like I would really like be down like to sit and talk about this, and you tell me what you got out of it, and like we can talk about it and have a whole discussion. But I'm here for this. I think.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it. I'm definitely really going to try it tonight. Just because I like stuff like that. I like stuff that's more so, like, breaks it down, more like a Bible study kind of talk. Because I can really, like, focus in, zero in, and kind of, like, just take down what he's saying and really, like, let that register in my mind. Because if it's a lot of hooping in the background and stuff, I'm just watching, like, oh, wow, look at that, look at that. Like, your eye just goes everywhere. So, like, for him to do, like, a Bible study, I like that. Yeah. And I like that he brings his wife, too, because it gives the woman's perspective. I like that, too. So.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm
excited to watch it.
Yep. So we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Give us 5 minutes.
Hey.
Miss me with that bullshit. You ain't really wild, you a tourist. I be blacking out with the purist. I paid 100,000, I freaked it. I paid 500,000, I freaked it. I bought an 87 for the weekend. This ain't what you want, this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want, this ain't what you want.
And it's like that look. MVP, I don't get no sleep, no, I don't like that look. Bust that open, I want that ocean, yeah, that bite back look. Do it bite back look. Need 2 life jacks look. I ain't gon' hold you, I ain't gon' pressure, never control you. I ain't gon' front you, keep it 100, I don't know you. Boss like Top Dog, boss my life up, crossing over. Started stepping, got a Hall of Fame and all my poster. I've been ready, my whip been ready, my click been ready, my checks been ready, my shots on full, that's Armageddon. I got pulled, I hope y'all ready, my tank on full, you know unleaded. I gotta go get it, I gotta go get it.
The Hub.
Yo, Alex.
Hey, what's up, Tato?
Y'all coming through Saturday, right?
Come on, man. You know I wouldn't miss that for the world.
I've been hanging with my kids, just chilling, man. I'm living like a father. All my brothers that can relate to me, man. Shout out my real fathers. Take care of your kids, even if you cannot work it out with baby mama.
What's that?
Working 9 to 5, hustling, so you never see your kids starve. Changing diapers, making bottles, feeding your kids, that's a real father. If you ain't called your kids in a couple days, man, you not a real father.
Yeah, real fathers.
Smacking Cupcakes offers custom cakes and cupcakes for every occasion. We proudly bake everything from scratch. With every moist and mouth-watering bite, you will be smacking your lips by the time you are finished. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Lip Smacking Cupcakes.
Life on the edge, get a grip. Know that they want me to slip. Hustle is something to quit. Ain't no pitch down for.
When you die, somebody else was born, but at least we got to say we ran on the digit, we ran on the money, we ran on the digit, we ran on that money, we ran on the digit, we ran on the money. We ran on the digit, we ran on the money, we ran on the digit, we ran on some money.
Are we back on?
Okay. What's up? We are back with QTT at the Hub Radio. We are going to now talk about the hashtag existing while black. I know that there have been a lot of different things with the shootings that have happened, and not even within the past week, within all of our lifetimes, there have been a lot of things that have happened to black people while they were just existing. Recently, the shootings that happened at the Waffle House, there was also a lady that was sexually harassed or mishandled by the cops at a Waffle House as well. The Desmond situation from the former NFL player is something that happened months ago, but it is just now starting to trend. And there was also a cop that they called the cops on him and said that there was a black man. He was sent on an assignment to go look for casings, and he had his flashlight, and somebody called the cops on him, the dispatcher, and said, "Oh, there's a black man dressed as a cop in their neighborhood." And it's just things like that. So now they're saying, like, we should stop calling, not we, but, or anybody, whoever is calling police on black people for petty things, they should stop because they are killing us at an alarming rate. So I really do believe that it's true, and a lot of people think like that if you're black, or if you come into an encounter with somebody, that you can diffuse the situation. And a lot of times we're dealing with a lot of fearful things. I always go back to the Tamir Rice thing where they shot and killed the little boy. And how do you diffuse that? How do you now teach your little son to not become a victim or to not be criminalized by that? I think when we're younger, a lot of the girls are over-sexualized. Our boys are also over-sexualized, and they are both criminalized, and we don't get a chance to experience childhood. Now, maybe in some, like, more affluent neighborhoods, yeah, but I'm talking about the ones that are, like, in the hood and stuff. They don't get to experience childhood the way that other children do. And then I also saw a post, and it was saying these black boys and the black girls are experiencing the death of their friends the same way that these veterans have experienced the death of their friends in war. And if we think that they need treatment for PTSD, so do our little boys and girls. And I believe, and I stand by that completely. I remember when one of our students passed away, and I had put on Facebook that the hardest thing is not coming back to class and not seeing the child. The hardest thing was going into the class and trying to show the kids how to cope with it. And that feeds into PTSD. But that's something that, existing while black, those are things that you have to go through. But I think it is something that we need to start paying attention to. If you are not black, and if you have people that you are connected to, and if you are black and you call the cops on black people, let's be mindful. Let's be very mindful and make sure that it is something that we cannot, or it's out of our arms. Let it not be that someone is dressed as a cop looking for casings. Like, that shouldn't be why you're calling the cops, because he might just be a cop. Like, that's just that. But yeah, those are some things. We also, the Starbucks situation with the two realtors, the one that was actually out here off of Redondo, the Starbucks, where they weren't letting him use the bathroom. It's just a lot that's going on, so we need to be mindful. Yeah, but that's the hashtag is just existing while
we do.
black.
And it's just very unfortunate that we can't go anywhere. And I really feel like it's something that you can't explain to people who aren't black. But when you're black, like, you take that into consideration wherever you go, like, literally. So sometimes I'm just like, okay, like, if I gotta go to Orange County, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be the only black person that's there. I don't like being around too many white folks. I don't like to be in too many white spaces. I don't, because I feel like, number one, I'm gonna be the one that stands out. I'm gonna be the one people are like looking to see what I'm going to do, and if I'm going to do anything that's, you know, that's wrong. And honestly, they don't even need a reason, you know. So it's taxing, like, it really is. And I read this article about the emotional tax that black men and black women have to pay, and they were talking about it from a sense of being in the workplace, but even outside of the workplace, we constantly pay an emotional tax, because like, literally, like, I'm always bound to this feeling and this awareness of knowing that I'm black, and that when I step out this house, that somebody can mess with me at any time. And just like I told you guys, this happened last year when I was leaving work, and this white woman came up to my car and was asking me, like, why I was in her neighborhood. Like, literally, like, I was trying to find directions, and she was like, can I help you? And I'm looking at her like, no, you can't. I said, why are you by my car? And she's like, well, I live here. This is my house. I lived here for 30 years. I don't care if you lived here for 30 years. Like, who are you? Like, and I'm like, and I went off on her. Like, I cussed her out and everything. Like, I almost got out the car up on her. Like, I really came out of pocket. But the thing is that I thought about that, and even, like, my friend was like, you know, that situation, like, it reminds me stuff like that. Like, even like with Trayvon Martin, like, you know, and it's like, how come, like, you have to worry about always being harassed if you're black and when you go somewhere? And it's draining. Like, it really is draining, because you're literally always on guard as a black person. And that's no way to live. It's not. And, like, literally everywhere that I go, like, I gotta be on guard. Even at work, I don't like people, like, my family has told me that I need to get better with that. I'm like, I come into work and I say good morning, but I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to go out to this company bowling competition. I don't want to. I don't want to be in your space. I don't. Because, number one, I'm the only black, well, I'm the second black person. But the thing is that I don't want to be. Like, I just don't. Like, I'm not going to get your jokes. I just feel like I'm in a space right now, and like I said before, I'm not trying to be... I don't want to get to a place where I start to be resentful towards white people, and kind of like how you said last week, how you operate out of hate. I don't want to do that, you know. But at the same time, like, with everything that's going on in the world and with everything that's going on in America, just when you talk about the Waffle House situation, when you talk about Desmond Monroe, and when we look at the guys, the fraternity who was caught up on video making all these racist chants and making fun of people with disabilities, like, it's a lot as a black person to take in, because wherever you go, you're always a target. And even, like, these people who are behind closed doors, like, you don't know, like, if you really for me, if you just spouting in my face, if you really against me, you don't know that. And I actually had watched I watched a video. It's a documentary. I watched it on Amazon. It's called The Last White Knight. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I think you said it before on the show.
Well, actually, I don't think so, because it's my first time ever watching it or even seeing it this weekend. So, I don't think so. Familiar, like you said. Yeah, no. But no. So it's this documentary called The Last White Knight, and it's a documentary, and it's this white man who was from Canada who came down over 40 years ago from North Canada, well, from Canada, to come down here to volunteer with SNCC. And SNCC, I forgot what everything it stands for. It's a Student Nonviolent Committee or something like that. Down south, during the Civil Rights Movement, they were an organization. So he came down to volunteer with them for voting rights, for them to have voting rights back in the 60s. So when he came down, he came to Mississippi. Mind you, he's from Canada, doesn't know what's going on. He's just down here trying to help the cause. He sees black people are in trouble, like, he sees what's going on, the injustices. He wants to come down there and help. So he tries to go to the courthouse, and when he goes to the courthouse, there's these four white guys, right? They were all Klansmen, and they beat him up. Like, he was another white man, and they beat him up. And one of the men who beat him up, his name, I believe it's Byron, but his last name is De La Beckwith, and his father is actually the Klansman who shot and killed Medgar Evers, who was, if you guys do not know, I believe he was the president of the NAACP at the time. So he shot and killed him. And 40 years later, at the time it was like 40 something years later, because this was shot like back in 2012. So he did a documentary where he sat down with the man who beat him up and was talking to him about, you know, what he did and how he felt back then and like what was his motivation behind doing it. And mind you, like this man at the time when it happened, he had to be like in his 20s, but now he's grown, like he's a grown man, like old man, and he still has that same personality. And he's like, you know what, I just feel like black people, like they shouldn't have got into politics and Mississippi politics and blah blah blah, and so what. And he said like every shooting that happened to black people, he was like, I just laughed, like it didn't mean anything to me, I just laughed. And I'm like, that's really sad to me that for somebody, and on top of that, like he's sitting over here talking about Jesus, he's talking about, you know, how he loves Christ and talking about if you accept Jesus as your personal savior and blah blah blah, but yet in the same breath you talk about how it's a deed that they had to carry out to go kill black people because they wanted equal rights to vote, and you still feel no shame for what you did. You have no shame for what your father did. You had no shame even to this day. And that stuff, it's disheartening and it's saddening. And the thing is that he ain't the only person that think like that. And in the documentary, there was there was 2 Klansmen and 1 Klanswoman, and they were talking about, they had their faces covered, and the guy who was doing a documentary, he said, can you guys take them off? And he was like, no, we can't take them off. And he was saying that, I mean, like there's some people, you know, who's in the Klan that are judges and that are lawyers and they're this and they're that, but if people knew who we were, like they would lose their jobs. That's why they keep themselves covered up. And I'm like, that's really, and I feel like even with seeing that, like that's more emotionally taxing, because now every time I see a white person, I gotta wonder, like, you know what I'm saying, like who you are, like when you go back home, you put a hood over your face. So it's definitely it's draining. It's very, very draining. And like I tell you guys all the time, you know, I wouldn't want to be anything else. I love the fact that I'm a black woman. Like I love who I am. I love my identity. I love all that I am. But it's taxing. It really is, emotionally.
It ties also into because I don't know if I brought this up, but I was at an event and they asked me to speak at the event, and they were allowing questions, and this guy was like, he saw a black woman, he said hello, and then he saw a white woman, he didn't feel like speaking to her. So then somebody goes, oh, that's the fear of rejection, and the man is telling this black man, you should not fear, you know, rejection from white people. We need to make the first step. We need to take a bigger step in making sure that we are on the same playing field. And I'm sitting there like, take a bigger step? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, if we start from the middle, who was the one that did the driving force to pull us away from each other? White people with slavery. But what also happened is that we're, you know, equal distance apart, but there's ditches. Every few miles, there's ditches. Even though they're 10 miles away, we're 10 miles away, there's ditches, and there's so much more obstacles that we have to overcome. They can just walk through forgiveness. We have to walk through hurt, pain, and trauma to get back to the middle. So when people are like, black people need to be the bigger person and forgive, why are we not telling the people that caused us this pain that they need to,
and our ancestors, that pain,
and patch up the land, and they need to patch up the land and remove the obstacles that they put in place? It's to me, when people are like, oh, you know, black people, you guys should stop. I think Kanye said it. He was just like, you guys are operating out of hate. Well, if you look at what was done, like, look at what was done. Look at the history. Look at the history of black people and why it's so negative and who caused it. White people. And it's
happened to your parents. And I forgot to tell you guys this too. I didn't know this though, but they say that Kanye's dad is a Black Panther. I didn't know that. But
I mean, that would explain why his heart is to better the black people. Because he's seen it. He's on a bigger platform than his dad is.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, it's just like I'm just so tired. I just get tired of feeling like I always have. I describe it as a scarlet letter, like that one book, the Scarlet Letter. It's like you have like a big B around your chest, like, you know, for black.
Like, if I go into a white space, I know they looking at me, and that's what it is. Right. I'm not being held hostage by the fact that I'm black. I think I like, and then it also was a process with me having natural hair and me going into spaces, or me wanting to wear my dashikis, especially at work. Like, it was something that I just gravitated towards. But I feel like it's a badge of honor. I feel like it's just something that I don't feel like it's a scarlet letter. It's just something I know they want to be like what I have, and they can't understand it. So when I go into spaces, I'm not even, I'm not necessarily worried about the negative things that they think of me. It's just, okay, you think that's negative, but then when I open my mouth, I promise you're going to want to come and talk to me after. That's just because that's what happens. But I think, it shouldn't.
Well, I don't mean it as in shame, but it's more so like in thinking. Well, yeah, but like I feel like it's more so like the potential of what could happen. Just in seeing, like I said before, what's going on in the U.S. Like, and to know that I could be a target. To be honest with y'all, like I'm supposed to go down and help my best friend drive from Atlanta back here to L.A. And to be honest with you, like I'm a little bit nervous. Like, to have to drive through Alabama, the Mississippi to Louisiana, like, I'm nervous, because we two black women, and it's like I'm pretty sure if I was white, I wouldn't have those apprehensions.
Yeah. You just have to ask the good Lord to give you traveling grace and mercy.
Yeah.
And just pray for the best. Honestly, that's all you can do. But just everywhere I go, honestly, I'm always the only black person, so I'm kind of used to it now. Like, even if I go into an Asian space, a Hispanic space, wherever, I've always been the only black girl. So, and when you see another black girl, you're all excited, like, oh, you're black too. But the whole scarlet letter thing, like, I get what you're saying. Like, you feel like you got a bullseye on.
Well, that's what
forehead.
I mean. Yeah, bullseye.
Yeah, like a bullseye on your forehead. Maybe that's a better way to put it. But you just have to walk in it confidently and just be you. Be the shining black queen that you are. So
always,
yes,
always. That's what we do here. Okay,
we are way over our time, but just a quick announcement. If you haven't noticed already, Bosses.Brunch is having an event on June 3rd, so look out for that.
Yes. And you guys, so we won't have any show. We won't have a show next week. So we'll catch you guys on the 15th. Is that the 15th of May?
So have a happy Mother's Day.
So have a happy Mother's Day, all that. So yes, you guys, do not forget, this is Queen's Table Talk, where we help you discover,
unlock,
and protect
your magic.